Good morning. Good to see you today. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Susanna and I'm harpist and harp teacher based in Edinburgh, and for the first time in a while I'm actually coming live from Edinburgh. I've been traveling a lot this past couple of weeks, and I think that's one live when I'm finally home with my harps actually. And well, the next few will be still from different places, but today you can see my harp and you can see a bit of my space. This is a series of mini harp lessons which started quite a few weeks ago, and in each lesson I've been discussing either a piece for a harp and with some advice how to practice it, and since last week I've started giving out also looking at more smaller aspects of harp playing, not necessarily within one piece, and trying to help you find your own way to practice day by day. If you go to the link in that Facebook Live, there is a link at the top of the page. For Instagram, there is a link in my bio, and that's the first post at the top of the page. You can download a PDF with practice plan and with some extra materials for a week of work. Let me know who was here last week and who has been working with the scales practice plan that we discussed last week. I could see that a few people have downloaded the PDF. I think I had almost 10 downloads, so I'm curious to see who you are and if you're watching the live today, and if you liked the practice recipe, let me know how it was going. Let me see the comments. Hello everyone. And yeah, just let me know what would be more interesting for you as a harp player. Today we're tackling something really basic, something which you would normally learn in your maybe second, third harp lesson, something which will give you a really important foundation, basic for all the future harp playing. I think this live today and the things that we will discuss will be of special interest to anyone who was self-taught, who tried to teach themselves from books or maybe from other videos like this one. And I think that knowing a few students who came after being self-taught, who came later for lessons with me, I can see that placing and finding out what to do with your fingers, how many of them go on the strings, in which order, when do they come off. I think that this is one of the trickiest things to explain if you're looking at books that teach that or other materials. I think it's quite hard to do that without the teacher. So we'll try to shine some light on that today, and if you are self-taught or if you're just starting to play the harp, just think of any questions you might have and you can pop them in the comment. I'll try to explain as much as I can in the live today. We will continue with this topic next week because it's a very big topic. Today we will just discuss two fingers at once and what to do if you only play with two fingers. My teaching philosophy is whenever someone comes to play the harp and had especially with no musical experience before, I start with learning to play with just one finger, with the index finger, because I think that's the one which is the most natural to play. And if you deal with one finger at a time, you don't have to think about placing, about what to do with other fingers, you just tackle one note at a time, which is also really great if you don't read the music yet, because then you can learn one note at a time again, and reading music, even hands together, but still you're looking just at the notes and just at plucking one string, and you're not too worried about what happens when you've got more strings to pluck or more fingers to play. I know that there are some books out there which teach you to play straight away with more fingers, sometimes even with 4 fingers, books which start off with this kind of exercises, which is a really good exercise on its own, plucking one string at a time with each finger. But I think you can get quite easily muddled up if you think that you have to do something with all those fingers straight away and you don't know how it works with one finger first, then with second finger at a time. That would be the next step, and that is something I think you could work for at least 2 lessons on. and then adding more fingers as you are discovering the rules which are giving you the possibilities for most efficient playing and placing. As I said, the PDF will be in the link. For those of you who came just now, the link is either in the bio, and that's the first post at the top, or in the description of this Facebook Live. It will also stay there. You can rewatch that video later. For people on Instagram, where it will disappear after 24 hours, you can watch that again following the same link. You will go to my website and all the previous lives are there, put together with any additional links, practice materials and stuff. And I think if you haven't got any more questions, oh, I can see a question actually. Request to be in your life. Ah, okay. I think we will do that maybe another time because I'm not quite sure who's requesting that. But let me know if that's a question actually. You can type it in a comment and then I'm going to answer that. So let's move on to two fingers exercises, something to play and where to start and so on. If you open the PDF, you will see that on day one, the first thing to do to practice is exercise number 1, and this is from the book called The First Harp Book. I'm going to show you a cover of that book just now. This is that book, which I think is a really good resource, and almost all of my students at some point use that book. It's not very expensive, it's £10 when you follow the link that I'll put here in the description, but it will give you quite a lot of repertoire also for more advanced players. So in that book, when you look at page 6, you've got a chapter called Exercises for Two Fingers of the right hand. And let's start off with exercise number 1. We put our thumb on D, just above middle C, our second finger on middle C, and just forgot to say, even if you cannot buy the book at the moment and it's not available in your country, you can pretty much follow what I'm doing right now in the video and you will know those exercises as they go. So second finger, the index finger on middle C, thumb a string above, and we start off with playing just the thumb, so holding on with that second finger here on the middle C, we pluck the thumb. And the way I teach, I'm teaching to bend that thumb and let it go all the way to the second finger like that. I know that there are some other schools of harp playing, but I think that gives you quite a bit of strength and lets you relax that thumb. Then the next bar, same exercise number 1, that's plucking the second finger while holding on to the thumb. Repeating that 4 times. And then we have got also changes with the thumb moving a string higher up. You can do that as well. That's just increasing the space between the fingers, and then same with the thumb. And then you do the same thing for the left hand, and with the left hand I recommend you try doing that an octave lower. That's something you will see in two fingers exercises for the left hand. It's just a tiny bit easier to do that low down there. And you try to keep lots of space between second finger and the thumb, because then second finger can go inside the hand like that. It's good if you can feel it touching the palm of your hand, and then if you've got lots of space there, then the thumb can really go for it and can have lots of place to work and make nice sound. Then exercise number 2, you need to remember that both fingers need to go on the harp at the same time, so like that. Oops, that went on the same string, but like that. Trying to have the second finger and thumb starting on the same string, even though in this exercise they will be playing second, not coming back, and then the thumb pushing away. In fact, here in that exercise, if you feel that your thumb is not strong enough, you can start from the second half of the exercise, where you go in the opposite direction, starting with the thumb, still holding on with the second, and then playing second. That might be a bit easier if you are not used to playing with your thumb. But otherwise go second, thumb, come off, second, hold on with the thumb, come off, and then the other way around, you place both of them, play the thumb, come off, you're not coming back to the same string, and then the second finger. And then exercise number 3 is exactly the same, but you're just increasing the space. And exercise number 4 is placing them both on the strings and playing them at the same time, like that. So here they work exactly in the same way. You close the second finger inside the hand, the thumb pushes away from the string, and closing like that. Hello to anyone who came just now. We're looking at some exercises for very, very beginners or someone who was self-taught, and how to manage placing the fingers. We're starting with 2 fingers because that's the very base for anything later that you will be doing with more fingers. So these are the 4 exercises, and I would recommend that you do them for at least 2 days until you feel quite confident, especially with your thumb, because that's a finger which can be a bit, I don't know how to say, maybe reluctant when you start playing the harp. I think it's not the kind of move maybe it's used to be doing. So just wait for a few days until you feel that you can control your fingers quite well. And before we move on to the pieces, I'll just check on your comments again. Eleanor, hey, your hands are beautiful. Oh, thank you very much, Eleanor. I definitely recommend people should continually go back to these basics, even if not a beginner. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you, Eleanor, for that comment. Actually, that's a really good reminder that even if you play for a couple of years, it's really good to go back to those really simple exercises in your everyday practice when you feel that your hand position is going a bit funny, if you feel in depth of how everything should be going, and also when you've had a bit of a break and you're coming back to the harp after a long time. It's really good to start with something easy, which you feel quite confident in doing, which you've been doing for many times. That will kind of bring you back to playing the harp. So these were the exercises, and if I quickly check the PDF that you can download, that would be something you would do for at least 2 days. And then the next thing you can do is the first piece at the top of page 7 in that book, called Wooden Shoe Dance. And again, if you don't want to buy that book, you can pretty much figure out how to play it by ear from how I will be playing that piece just now. You're starting with second finger on E, thumb on G, and maybe that I play you the piece just now so you can get a general feel how that sounds. And later maybe I will be singing with naming the notes so you can get a better idea of what I'm playing. I would recommend you start with hands separately, either left hand or right hand, doesn't really matter. Might be a good idea to start with the left hand if you feel that reading notes in the bass clef is something that you struggle. So let's actually start with the left hand, and we're making sure that we're placing both fingers at the same time. So we're looking not only at the first note but also what comes next, and when you look at the music, you'll see that they are connected with lines underneath the numbers. Both fingers to which the numbers belong need to be on the strings at the same time, as long as they're connected with one line. So left hand will be that, E, G, E, C, E, G, E, D, E, G, E, C, E, D, C. Second finger only at the end. Yeah? And the right hand is exactly the same, just an octave higher. So the first thing you can do is practicing that hand separately. And then what I would recommend you to do, hands separately and then maybe hands together, is playing those 2 notes as a chord, just as you were doing in exercise number 4. So going 2 fingers together, 2 together. That will sound a bit funny, but that's the chord that you will get when you play those 2 notes together, and then carry on, and then the very end. Yeah, that will make sure that will help you put both fingers on the harp at the same time, which is very important, and it will also give you a better understanding of the patterns and the spacing between the fingers, because it sometimes changes. And you can do that with the left hand, the other hand later, and then you can do that hands together, and so on. You can also do that with just moving hands on the strings, just finding the right strings and moving your fingers between them, watching that your left hand and right hand do exactly the same thing. That will take even more things off your mind and will help you concentrate on the notes and on the fingers that you're using. And then after that, you're probably ready to play hands together, just as I did before. And I would continue working on that piece for one more day. And towards the end of the first day, you can have a look at the next piece on that page called Cuckoo. Maybe I'll play you that piece again, just a piece as a whole, for you to get an idea of how it sounds. Notice, but left hand has a very simple part here. We're basically playing just two notes. We're playing C, G, C, sometimes repeating, sometimes changing. So we will not worry about the left hand for now. We'll just practice the right hand. Right hand has three different elements, types of harp playing. So we've got the 1 and 2 figure, just as we had before in the wooden shoe dance. We've got a bit of second finger playing on its own. And then we've got in bar 3 and 4 that figure where we're actually putting the fingers back after we've played them. So something we didn't have before really. And here I recommend you start practicing just that little bit of the right hand on its own at the end of that, I think it was 4th day. And then starting again with 2 fingers on, thumb and second finger, thumb on D, second finger on C. You play the thumb. You place it back because it will need to play again, it's all connected under one line. Then you play second finger, and again it's still under the same line, so you put it back again. You play the thumb, and you're not coming back because the line is finishing, you don't need to use your thumb anymore. Then you play second finger, and you come off. In this book, it's all under one line, but what you can do is connect that in a series of small lines overlapping over the fingers. So there's one line connecting 1 and 2. Then before you play the second finger, you could see another line overlapping going to that thumb that you place again. Then playing second finger, there's one more line for the turn here, connecting back to the second finger, thumb and second finger. Yeah, I'll try to send you to put here a picture of how that looks as opposed to what's in the book. But that's one very important piece of advice when you're starting to learn the placing. Try to separate placing the fingers from actually playing the strings. So really think that you're first placing both fingers, then you play, then you place back, then you play, place back, play, come off, play, come off. And it's quite important that you might actually want to say to yourself, come off, because very often when you for the first time play that kind of figure, many people want to put that thumb back at the end, even though it's not playing, and then play second finger, and then you kind of let go after that, which is not a terribly big mistake, but I think you need to be quite clear in your mind when do you place your fingers, and only place them on the strings when it's necessary. Otherwise you might end up having extra fingers going on the harp because you allowed them to, and they can create quite a bit of muddle, because if you, for example, later if you have 3 fingers, if you want to play 3 notes one after another, how about you want to play 2 notes, one with third finger, one with the thumb. If you accidentally put your second finger on, there's quite a bit of danger that your fingers, instead of playing this, will play that, because you allow that second finger to be on the strings. So it's quite important that you don't put any more fingers that you have to, and you're really aware what you need to put in any given moment. So I think, let me just check that PDF. I think I scheduled that at the end of day 4 of your practice, and then when you move on to the day 5, you can revise the wooden shoe dance hands together if you want. The things that I think are quite necessary to do are in yellow, and then anything extra to do when you have time is in green in that PDF, in that table. So when we move to day 5, now we've got in yellow right hand only, to practice the whole piece right hand only in the Cuckoo, and trying to make sure that here you only place the fingers are necessary, just watching what you're doing. And then playing left hand on its own, that won't be too hard because it's just 2 notes. And towards the end of that day, you can start putting that third and fourth bar hands together. So you try to watch again what your fingers are doing here. So you tell them first, place both of them together, play, play with the left hand, play, place. It's hard to talk and play at the same time, even if it's an easy piece. So one more time, we place 1 and 2 in the right hand, place second in the left hand. We play second in the left hand, thumb of the right hand, which can be quite a bit of a challenge, as you see. So we play thumb and second, we place the thumb back, we place the second finger down on that C, then we play second finger right hand, place it back, play the thumb, come off, and then play both second fingers of both hands. That should keep you busy for most of the day 5. And then in the day 6 you can progress to connecting the whole of the cuckoo hands together, but it might be still a good idea to start from that bar 3 and 4 or 7, is it 7 and 8 actually? 5, 6, 7, 8, that's actually 11, 12, sorry, the 2 bars at the end of the piece are the same as that bar 3 and 4. Yeah, and I think that's quite a good introduction. Even though we're not playing a lot really with those 2 fingers, I think that already pushes your thinking quite a lot to see what are you doing with your fingers, when do you place them, and being really aware at the beginning of what habits are you practicing, because that will be really important later when you play. I'll just quickly check who's watching. Hello to anyone who joined right now. We're discussing placing and playing 2 fingers, and in the PDF that you will download, you've got a list of, I think, 5 pieces from different books. If you click the title of the book, it will take you to the website where you can buy the book from. These are all suitable to play after you finish practicing those exercises and those 2 pieces that I was talking about. So you can safely stay on that level and practice those skills with those 5 pieces if you want to. And remember, at all time, the 3 things that I put at the top of the page, just need to click the phone, it's telling me, sending me some notifications. Just remember about the 3 things that I put at the top of the page. So lots of space between second finger and the thumb, so your thumb can bend and your second can close inside the hand. Separate placing from playing, so making sure that you think of placing as a separate action, which it actually is. Later, of course, when you will be looking and when you will be playing more advanced pieces, when you will feel more advanced, you will see that it's almost instant playing another string and placing the other finger. But for now, try to think of it as a separate thing, because if you try to do too much at the same time, there is a risk that you just forget to place that finger and you will come off from the string earlier than you thought. And the very last thing, come off when you don't have to play the finger anymore, when there is no more notes to play. Don't get into the habit of letting your fingers go back on the strings even if you don't want them to. Just make sure that they always listen to what you ask them to do. And that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions at all. You can, on Facebook, you can ask questions in the comments. The video will stay on Facebook for as long as Facebook exists, as far as I'm aware, and I should see those comments in my notifications coming up. On Instagram, you can send me a message. If that video disappears, which it will after 24 hours, you can just go to the link on my website where that video will be uploaded tonight, and you can ask questions there in the comments as well, or send a message. Next week we will continue with that very basic issue of placing, which is so important for beginners or for anyone who was trying to learn to play the harp, and we will carry on with 3 fingers placing, so that will get very interesting when we get there. I hope to see you all there and have a nice weekend. I hope the weather will stay as nice as it is today. Take care, bye!